Hey everybody, happy Monday as usual, 8:15 p.m. and do this every Monday, coming to you guys with answering your questions that you had from the post that I put up during the weekend. And you guys, I gotta say, George goes home tomorrow, and for those of you that watch the stuff that I do live and everything, you'll know that George was a pretty scared dog coming in. And today was the last day that I had with him, and we did a little bit of everything from outside remote collar session to inside impulse control and outside social work. So he got a little bit of everything today, and tomorrow he goes home. So little sad in a way, but also happy for him too. But anyways, tonight, you guys, we are going to be covering a few different subjects. And I think they're all really good too. These were really good questions from everybody that commented yesterday on the post on Facebook. So we are going to be covering tonight, dealing with a recent rescue that is overprotective, growls and barks at anybody coming into the home. That's number one. Number two is introducing a dog to new people with just seems to have just way too much excitement going on. So that's our second topic. And then our third topic, which is also the title of this, which is a puppy that just nips too much. And there's a number of things that we can do, but we'll get into that in a little bit. However, so first things first, you guys. So Elizabeth Lewis was the one that popped right on first. And so she's got the one dealing with a recent rescue that is overprotective, growls and barks at new people coming into the house. So Elizabeth, if you're on, that would be fantastic. Maybe just give me a hey. So if I have any questions for you, which I kind of do, that would be great. But if you can just let me know that you're here, that would be nice. So, you know, the first question is, you know, how recent? I guess that would be my question for Elizabeth if she's here. Perfect. She's here. Awesome, Elizabeth. So that's my question, is how recent? Because there's a lot that goes into that too. So, however, you guys, here's the thing with overprotectiveness. I feel like that's 5 weeks. Okay, good. So you are in that magical window of 30 to 45 days. That magical window is when a dog actually starts to feel settled in your house. This is, whether you want to call it an imprint period or whatever, honeymoon phase, whatever you want to get. We usually hear from our clients after they adopt a dog and it's been 2 weeks. Everything's great. The dog's wonderful. Everything's going, just swimmingly. It's great. And then about 2 more weeks in, 4, 5, 6 weeks, things get a little weird. And that's when things start popping up. So that window of 30 to 45 days is a part of when your dog actually feels settled. Knows the structure, knows the routine, knows who's in the house, what everybody does, what everybody's energy is. This is their new pack, and this is the time that they're coming to realize all of this. And it's an important time period as well. Now, to go along with this, that rescue is probably bringing some things with it. And you guys, here's the thing about rescues, and this has been on my mind all day because I was looking at this question and I read it yesterday and I'm like, I think it's really important that we don't focus on where a rescue came from or what might have happened, because we end up trying to interpret everything, and it just gets heavy. Do you know what I mean? So today I was over at somebody's house, and they had a dog, and this dog had just a pure look of concern on its face. Ears perked forward, the forehead all wrinkled. The eyes were just like, what is happening here? Okay? Now the dog could still function, but in talking with this dog's owners, things started to come up. I don't know if it's because, the color of my eyes. I don't know if it's, my hair. I don't know if it's because I'm a guy. I don't know if it's because she's a girl that the dog gets along with that person. Guys, don't focus on their history unless you know factual information. And I might be the first one to break this to you, but your rescue that you're worrying so much about, their history, does not give two loads of crap about your history, okay? And that's the truth. That new dog that you're getting is not walking around the house going, boy, I wonder if this human was beaten. I wonder if this human, went without food for 3 weeks. I wonder what damaged this human so much. They don't look at it. Or why does this human just keep talking to me like a baby and it's driving me insane? Why do they do that? You know what I mean? So you can't focus on that kind of stuff. I think walking into somebody's house and they say, dog's a rescue. Great. You got a good home for it. Yep, she was beaten. And then everybody goes, oh, right? And then everybody feels sorry for that dog. And that dog goes, why is everybody thinking, what's wrong? Why'd the vibe in this room all of a sudden just drop? Because they're always aware. So, this is what I mean as far as a rescue is concerned, you guys. I don't know, Elizabeth, if this dog is protective of you. If you have video of this, that would be fantastic, because I can only interpret so much of what I think is going on here, okay? My thought is, somebody comes in, this dog's barking and growling and that kind of thing. To me, remember we talked thresholds, that threshold has been crossed. Literally, that threshold might be from your front door, where as soon as somebody walks in, that dog is not cool with it. That barking and growling, probably from your dog, means that dog wants space. That's all there is to it. Good, Elizabeth. Just message that to me, because that would be great. Obviously, I can't watch it right now, but you guys, and I think a lot of times that just gets interpreted as being protective. You guys, if you've ever seen protection dog training, it is way, way different than what this dog would look like, okay? So this is where we end up trying to interpret our dog's behavior and not actually knowing what's going on. Now, Elizabeth, with all due respect, you may send me a video that is exactly that, straight up protection stuff. And if it is, I will let you know. But more times than not, it doesn't have anything to do with protection other than the dog trying to protect itself. Who's this strange person coming in? Why are they coming into my area? Why are they approaching me? And this is when that dog will react, because it's trying to create space. So in these scenarios, obviously, and this is with an excited dog or whatever, anytime somebody comes over, they are to completely ignore this dog. Straight up, ignore it like it doesn't even exist and it's not even there. That's number one. Number two is, I probably wouldn't have this dog right near the front door when somebody came in. I think I would have this dog either in a crate or a different room until you can start socializing this dog and getting it more comfortable with people. So I think that's where my suggestion would come in for this guy, because if this dog is growling and barking, it could be moving backwards because it's so scared, or it could be moving forward and kind of lunging and launching and that kind of thing, where that can certainly turn into a bite or a nip or anything like that quicker than not. So that's where we just have to be super duper careful. And we'll go from there. But, until I watch the video, that's kind of my interpretation of what's going on. Especially if these people walking into the house want to approach this dog, that's just going to cause major problems. That's going to make that dog just want to dig into a hole and run away, or again, it's going to come after the person, one or the other. So, as I told the people today when I was at their house looking at their dog, when people come over and say, and you say, just ignore my dog, I'm just kind of working with it, and that person goes, it's okay, I'm a dog person. I will tell you guys, dog people are the worst when it comes to this kind of thing. Because dog people, as in, I'm talking about all of us here, will be the ones that say, it's okay, dogs are good with me, or I'm good with dogs, or dogs like me, and then they walk over and approach, and then something goes sideways. And then that's not fair to the dog, right? And then that person, that quote-unquote dog person, is just being a jerk. For the... not going to get into derogatory terms here, but I think that's what it comes down to. So it's funny, if somebody's not a dog person and you say just ignore him, right? like he's not even here, the non-dog person will go, you got it. I don't want anything to do with that dog. That dog's growling at me and barking at me. Why would I go over and try to pet it? Right? But dog people will. And that's what's crazy about it. But I actually heard a story probably about 6 months ago of a canine police officer and I'm not saying where, person was walking down the sidewalk with a dog that didn't like people. Canine police officer saw the dog, said, made some comment about the dog, like, nice to see you out walking or whatever it was. And the person said, thank you, he's just not that good with dogs. The police officer said, that's okay, I'm a canine officer, it's okay. He walked up to the dog and the dog bit the canine officer. Can you imagine? So nothing happened. The police officer was like totally embarrassed, totally realized what just happened, and said, no problem, that was completely 100% my fault. And he understood it, which is a good thing, because that would have been a mess in itself. So anyways, that's when it comes down to dog people and everything. So Elizabeth, I will be looking at your video, which is great. Thank you for doing that. And we'll go from there. And hopefully I can help you interpret maybe some of it, of what's going on. So that's that. Our next topic is from Hisham Kanawati. Introducing a dog to new people with too much excitement. As in the dog has too much excitement, not the people. So it's funny, you guys, every time somebody writes something, I always picture in my head a scenario, right? So my scenario is, walking down the road or a sidewalk, here comes somebody approaching, and the dog starts to go nuts. Again, you guys, there's going to be a threshold. And what I would do is I would start this in a controlled scenario. So maybe have that person call up one of your friends and say, hey, I'm going out on the sidewalk so-and-so, and I need to practice with my dog meeting somebody, okay? And this is where that threshold work really, really works well. If my main client is on here that we talked about originally with the parking lot thing, that would be great if she could jump in and comment about it. But you guys, to me, a dog being around people and that dog being way too excited, you've got to find that distance away from where that dog can actually function. And it could be 50 feet, could be 50 yards, 150 yards. I don't know. Every dog is different. And that's the time to stop right there. When that dog first discovers that person and realizes, oh, hey, what's that? And as you get closer and closer, this dog's going to lose its you-know-what and go crazy. For you guys that watch, or maybe you haven't watched, the Dog Trainer Daily stuff that I do on YouTube, I believe it's episode 56. We talk about the point of discovery with one of the dogs there. And it's really interesting stuff, so you can see the dog, what it looks like, what the dog looks like body language-wise when it discovers something, and that's the area that you can work with your dog. Once you cross that threshold, you guys, you can't work with your dog. And I know I've said this before, you guys, but threshold work is super duper important when it comes to this kind of stuff. However, you guys, if that threshold gets crossed and that dog gets absolutely crazy and there's nothing that you can do, I guess one of the things that I would probably do at that time, if you can't, number one, I think I would do my best to get out of there, okay? Number two is I would probably, again, tell the person, completely ignore my dog because he's being a lunatic right now, being all crazy, and I just don't want him to be addressed by anybody. That would be the second thing. The other thing you can do is just step on the leash, but still give your dog a little bit of slack. Not a lot, because we don't want this dog jumping up in the air. So, my person kicked right in, and this is awesome. Kelly Patchell, thank you so much. You guys, so Kelly was from what I remember, the first person that I actually told to use this technique. And first of all, this technique, that I know for a fact it's not anything new. It was just what was going into my brain when I was talking with her about her dog. So, very huge, large parking lot. Get into the back corner of that parking lot where you can see the front of the building. So grocery store like a Lowe's or Home Depot or something like that. You will be able to find your threshold where your dog can watch all these people and all these cars moving around. And guess what? None of these people are probably going to approach you from a long distance. If they do, you can let them know, hey, I'm training my dog, please give us space. Okay? So that's the first thing. The second thing is being in this area and the dog realizing that all these people are moving around and nobody's coming close to it. They realize, hey, this isn't that bad. Nobody's doing anything to me. Nobody's coming into my personal space or my social space or anything like that. So it's super helpful when it comes to that kind of thing. So now, Kelly jumped in and said, hey, threshold was 20 parking spaces down to 6. Molly can now stand beside me as I talk to a stranger without lunging. That's because she did the work. What she did is she went to a parking lot and actually counted the parking spots, how far away she could actually be from somebody without her dog reacting. So she found that point of discovery. She was able to work her dog there. Work her dog meaning moving back and forth laterally and also bringing her back away from that threshold and back up to it, but not crossing it. And it takes some practice and it takes some time. But you can see she's moved up 14 parking spots and now she's talking to a stranger without her dog lunging because her dog has created and gained that confidence to learn how to be around other people and realizing that they're not actually going to do anything to her, that they are not actually a threat to her. So looking at it from that aspect, this parking lot technique, I wish I had a better name for it, but I don't. It's a wonderful technique to use for your dogs around people. It really is, because you have so much room where the dog can just sit back and watch everybody move around and not worry about anybody getting into their space. So that's what I would suggest for you, Hisham. I think, and you guys, this is for dogs that may be too excited. This is for dogs that may be too nervous, skittish, where you get around too many people or too close, and this dog just wants to tuck its tail and skedaddle the other way. But again, really good question here, you guys. And Kelly, you hit the nail on the head. Came right in when I needed you. That was awesome. And now, last but not least, we get into Amy Patnode's question of the nipping puppy. Now, you guys, there's a few different things that are happening or could be happening here. And I'm just, again, throwing this out there because, and Amy, if you're on, that would be great as well. So if you can chime in and let me know how old your puppy is, that would certainly help me as well. First things first, that puppy needs to be crate trained, okay? And you guys, using a crate doesn't mean you use it until the dog can hold their bladder and you can leave your dog home alone. That's not what crate training is, or crating your dog. Crating your dog is giving your dog a safe place to be. It's providing a babysitter for you, a very, very, very cheap in the long run babysitter, because now you have a place to keep your dog. And to me, it's going to provide a lot of structure as well. All right? Now, what does all this have to do with the nipping puppy? My brain goes to this spot, and then I'll fill you in with the other options that you can do. Most of the time, the puppies that we see that come in to us for daycare are very overstimulated. Usually pupils are dilated because they are just on this go, 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 go schedule. You guys, puppies need a crazy amount of downtime during the day. It all really depends on how old the puppy is. So let's say your puppy is, 14, 16 weeks old. So you're in that, 3.5 to 4 months old stage. That dog probably needs, in a 24-hour period, probably sometime 18 to 20 hours of downtime a day. Not all at the same time. Okay, let's make sure everybody understands that. I'm not telling anybody to crate their dog for 18 hours straight. That's straight up just like almost abusive. But what I am telling you is that there has to be a structure of play for a little while. So I say a little while, 10 to 15 minutes. Again, it all depends on how old the dog is. And then crate for an hour or two. And then out for maybe a walk, play a little bit, out for an hour or two. Okay? And this is the repetition that we have to use throughout the day. So most of the time when dogs, especially puppies, get super nippy, a lot of times they are very overstimulated. They haven't had a chance to rest. If any of you have got kids, You know what it's like when a 2-year-old hasn't had a nap for a few days. As I like to say, it's easier negotiating probably with terrorists than it is dealing with that 2-year-old that hasn't had a nap. So, that being said, you guys, it comes down to that structure, providing plenty of rest time. And if you're trying to get that young puppy accustomed to the crate, yes, it's going to take some time. I totally get it. However, it's also important to realize that we should probably feed the dog in the crate. We should obviously supervise the dog in the crate, use the crate during all these downtimes because they need it. Now, once all this is in place and the dog is getting plenty of downtime and it's still nipping, then we have to address it with something else. So yes, if you want to address it with something that it can chew on, a Kong or a bully stick or something like that, don't do, by the way, don't do raw hides. I should probably do a whole show on raw hides and how they're not raw. That's for another night, but don't get into the whole rawhide kind of thing. Give them something to chew on, something that's going to, really take that feeling away for them, or give them something, give it an outlet. That's the word I'm looking for. That gives them an outlet to have. Now, if you've done that as well, and the puppy is still nipping you, now we have to get into correcting that, because we don't want that. Can you imagine if that puppy was nipping on maybe an older dog that you had at home that was 5, 6, or 7? That older dog's probably going to correct that puppy in a very, hopefully, healthy way to say enough. And that's great if you have that. If you don't, to me, then it's time to probably use a tool of some sort, because I don't want anybody to get bit with this going on. To me, a very, very cheap tool that you can use is an empty soda can with about 8 or 10 pennies in it. Just have it in your hand. And if you're somewhere near the puppy and it starts to nip at you, first things first, you have to give him a chance. Say no, stop, off, whatever you want to do. And if it keeps coming, I am probably going to shake the ever-loving crap out of that can. Because I want that dog to know that that is not allowed at all. Because dogs shouldn't be allowed to put their mouths on you at all. Now, if you're playing and you're that kind of person that wants to get down there and roughhouse with your dog, first of all, be very careful. Second of all, that's different if you can have a dog that knows how to do that correctly with a person. Otherwise, that mouthing stuff, look, when they're puppies and those teeth are sharp, they're like needles, it's painful then, and it's going to be not so enjoyable when they're a year, 2, or 3 and still doing it. So that's what it really comes down to, you guys. Making sure that that dog has plenty of downtime. They've got that, then provide an outlet for them of some sort, a chew toy or something along those lines. And if those are both in place, then we get into correcting that behavior. So that's where that comes from my point of view. Hopefully that fills you guys in on how to handle that. Now, that being said, I'm about 12 days away from getting my new puppy. Very excited. Kids are very excited. Should be a lot of fun. And I plan on documenting a lot of things that I'm going to be going through with a dog as well. Because I want you guys to realize that even though I train dogs for a living, that I'm not immune to any of this stuff at all. Just because I'm bringing a puppy in doesn't mean I'm not going to be dealing with house training issues, that I'm not going to be dealing with crating issues, that I'm not going to be dealing with, getting up 4 or 5 times a night issues. So now, I certainly do have the benefit of bringing my dog to daycare and creating that structure of, play, rest, or might do a little training session, a little 5-minute session and then some rest time, whatever the case may be. But that's kind of the way that I look at that. So hopefully that gives you guys some insight into how that all is going to work. Because it should be a good time. I'm really looking forward to it. The last time I got a puppy was my dog Maddie, who's now 11, and will be 12 in August. And that I didn't really know what I was truly doing with her early on. And we made a lot of trips out to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, and that wasn't too much fun. So we'll see how this goes. And like I said, I plan on documenting a lot of it too, so hopefully it can help somebody out. So anyways, you guys, I think that's going to be it for tonight. Some really good subjects. Can't wait to see what we end up talking about next week, because you guys are doing great with these questions. So awesome. Just really, really good stuff. Tonight, I don't know, this was a nice array of questions here. I thought this was really good. Not that they usually aren't, but it's good. So Elizabeth, again, I'll be checking out your video and be getting back to you there. And again, you guys, I had another person that's on this page send me a video, just kind of ask me my question, or show me a video of a few dogs playing and ask me my thoughts on it. I've got no problem giving my thoughts on something like that, you guys. So if you come across a video and would like to know my thoughts, send it to me. Or if your dogs are playing and you're not sure what the intensity is like, if it's too much or if it's a little uncomfortable to you, send it to me. I'm all for that kind of stuff. You would be surprised how little videos people actually send. They will, send me all sorts of questions, but very little video, which in this day and age is crazy to me, because we have this ability to help out, and I love helping people. So you guys have a great night. Should be a good week ahead. George goes home. Rowan, the big Nippy, goes home this week, and I think we got another new dog coming in as well. So should be good times. But podcast, you guys, I've got one that is currently in the editing process. You guys, I interviewed Mark Connolly from Canine Command in North Carolina, I believe. Really good interview. Tons of experience in the law enforcement world with the canine dogs, and has a ton of experience. And it was so cool talking to him, and just his knowledge. Seems like a really down-to-earth guy, and I'm hoping that'll be out by the end of the week. And I got another one I'm recording this week as well. So I've got a lot of trainers lined up, which is pretty good. So you guys have a wonderful evening. I will catch you next Monday, 8:15. We will see you back here. All right? See you guys.